people tend to be able to identify with their sun sign. Your moon sign is your subconscious mind. What things drive you underneath the surface that may be in your blind spot.
Hi. Hi, Celeste. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time today to talk about moon and your moon mastery class. I really want to emphasize that because you're a moon queen, in my opinion. For you who do not follow Celeste, please go ahead and click follow here. She also has lives twice a week, and she does tarot and oracle, and she's active in the astrology community, in OPA, and many, many different things. I'm so happy to have you here for New Moon. Wow.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And what a perfect time to talk. The moon in Leo, which is
Leo. So for people who don't know, what is the moon placement in one's horoscope? Why is it important? What does it represent?
Yeah. So most people know their sun sign, and the sun represents your identity and your conscious mind. And people tend to be, not everyone, but people tend to be able to identify with their sun sign. Your moon sign is your subconscious mind, and it relates to what we need to feel safe, our habits and our behaviors. Like when someone pushes you up against a wall, you react from your moon sign. It's like that automatic subconscious behavior. So understanding what things drive you underneath the surface that may be in your blind spot is like one of the best ways to learn about yourself, learn about as well other people and how you can relate to other people. And yeah, I still every once in a while get insights about my moon. I'm a Taurus sun, but an Aries moon, so very different energies. So
I can only mention I have the sun and the moon in Gemini. I can relate.
If you're a double, then you probably like totally relate to all things about your moon because it's your sun sign. You just need to communicate constantly.
We have a question. They're asking if the moon is already in Virgo. So actually, the moon is not yet in Virgo. It's a void moon all day today. So maybe it's an opportunity to tell us what is void moon as well.
Yeah. Okay, there's like multiple definitions of a void moon. There's 3 definitions. The one people most commonly think about with the void moon is, so the moon enters a sign, and as it moves through those 30 degrees of that zodiac sign from 0 to 29, it makes aspects to the other planets. And when we're talking about a void moon, we're typically talking about the Ptolemaic aspects, either a conjunction, square, an opposition, a trine, or a sextile to other planets. So the moon takes her energy and translates it to the other planets. And like if you follow the moon, you can follow the flow of events over the days. Now, after she makes the last aspect, meaning the planet that has the highest degree, where she's making one of these aspects. So the moon is in Leo. She's separated from the sun at 23 degrees. And then, so that was it. Right? There was no aspects under the sun. Then she doesn't make any more aspects until she moves into Virgo. And so that period is called the void. So after the last aspect the moon makes, and then until she goes into the next sign. Now, when she goes into Virgo, the last aspect she'll make will be a trine with Pluto and Capricorn. So there'll be a very short void moon because there's only going to be a couple hours before she moves into Libra. So yeah, I hope that was clear on that's what most people consider the void moon these days. Yeah. And it's not the best time to start anything. Things started in a void moon. Like nothing happens. The moon's not working, so neither should you. I want to let people know. So this is coming from some of my teachers and great things to do.
You teach all of this in your moon mastery class. What else is in your moon mastery class?
Yeah, so I have a moon mastery class where I teach people everything about the moon. So you learn about your moon sign, the phase of the moon that you're born in, because someone born in a new moon in Leo, maybe someone born today, is going to be very different than someone who's born in a full moon in Leo, which would mean they're likely in Aquarius or something. Like the more light, the moon, we talk about the different phases of the moon, the dark phases, which are more internal versus the light phases, which people are more extroverted and pushing their energy out.
You're both balsamic phase moon. Yeah. I'm also balsamic moon phase.
Okay, that gives you a lot of intuition, and you probably need time alone, even though you want to talk to people all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I need to reflect on what's happening. It's a blend, getting in information and data and then just processing it. I need a time to process. We have to embrace our charts, right? Yeah. So I work with the energy. It's not against them. While we talk about the phases, if you could just shortly say a few words about each phase.
Yeah, so there are 8 phases of the moon. And so at the new moon, the sun and the moon come together at the same degree, and they whisper secrets to each other about what they want to seed in your life. The sun is the conscious mind, the moon is the subconscious mind. And really powerful, and this is something I do in my moon mastery, is you should use the new moon phase to set intentions about what you want to bring into your life. It's a dark phase, so it's really a great time to go internal, to slow down and really think about what wants to be birthed in your life. And you can look at your chart and see, okay, we have a new moon today, 23 degrees of Leo. Where is that in your chart? What house is it in? For me, it's in my second house. And I've started dealing with finances, just without even thinking about it. You'll notice a lot of people just go to what they're supposed to in some way. But when you know that, okay, this is the time for me to really get to deal with the issues that are the topic of this house. And then the moon starts pulling at the head of the sun and the light starts growing. So when you look in the sky at a new moon, you can't see the moon because the sun's rays, they're standing together. The sun makes it invisible essentially. But at the waxing crescent moon, the moon is pulled 45 degrees ahead and you can start to see the light. You can see that sliver of light in the sky. You may feel your energy starting to increase. It's still a dark phase. It's still very internal, but you maybe start feeling the push to start doing things. And then at the next phase, another 45 degrees is the first quarter moon. So this is when the moon moves into the bright phases where there's this external pushing out of energy. The first quarter moon, the sun and the moon are in square aspect. And squares are activating, and so it's time for you to take action. And if you start paying attention and realizing what's going on, you will find that around the first quarter moon, most people feel like this voice telling them, I should do this, I should do that. Or things pop into your life, other people take action and it impacts you. Yeah. So that's the Action Jackson phase. The next phase is the gibbous moon, where the moon in the sky, I should say at the first quarter moon, if you look at the moon, you could just see that hard edge. It looks like a half moon. And then at the gibbous moon, the moon is pregnant with possibilities. It almost looks full. It's bulging. And this is a time where it's great to connect to others. This is a great time to start having events and things. If you have a party at the new moon, people may be just sitting around thinking to themselves and not really interacting. So you want to have your events where the moon is in the bright phase because it's pushing people to connect with others, either to gain feedback or share what they've learned. You feel this internal almost sense of urgency to get what you need to get done before the full moon.
People who are born under this moon have an urge to do things, right? They always want to do projects, always want to start things. Yeah.
Yeah. And they also can be literally really fertile. It's a very fertile phase because it's waxing, it's growing. And some of these people have, every time you turn around, they have a new kid. They're so fertile. Not all. So at the full moon, all is revealed. The sun is in a house in your chart and the moon is in the opposite house in your chart. And you will find things related to this axis. Things come to light. You will notice in the news at the full moon, there's typically a lot of stories related to the moon or the people that have their sun signs or strong energies in that moon side, the people you see in the news.
Is it some kind of a closure energy, or is it just the peak of something that can continue?
I feel it's a peak energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it as a closure. There is the culmination, but like think about like after something culminates, there's still stuff to do afterwards. Like you have the big party, but the next day, then you start the cleanup or you start sending the thank you notes for the gifts you got. Those are times to celebrate, have parties. Emotions run high, so just be aware people around you. The emotions are high. The police, the fire department, the hospitals, teachers, bus drivers all know that people can be extra. Read all about it around the full moon because it's just there, and there's a lot of energy to like connect with others. So this is when like ERs fill up and all this kind of stuff. So it's also a great time to release what's no longer serving you because now the moon has had 100% of its light. And as soon as the full moon moves past, then it starts to release the light. Then we go into the waning phase where there's more pushing things out and letting things go. And the next phase is called the disseminating moon. But it's the waning gibbous. It's the moon on that other side where it's you share what you've done. You share your expertise.
You can polish it. I say it's a time to polish your project. Just remove this, put a little flower here. Just make it nice. Like an editor, polishing and making everything pretty.
Yeah. Talking to other people, telling other people what you did, and then they'll say something about it, and like it gives you new information. And then the next phase is the last quarter moon. Again, you see that hard edge, and this is the psychological integration part of the phase where you reap rewards, you metabolize wisdom, and you're ready like kind of to let it go and then bring in something else that's new. So it's a crisis of consciousness. So it's more internal, but you also may find you take some actions at the last quarter moon.
Do you feel that people born with that phase are more prone to thinking before action?
They think before they act, whereas the first quarter moon, they act before they think. And then the last phase is the balsamic moon, which is the waning crescent. And people who have this moon can be very intuitive and definitely need some time alone to recoup. The moon is losing the last of her light, and it's really time to get slow down and go with it.
I always think about, those old wise men or women that were in the villages, and, they were always alone, and the people would come to them for advice. You need to time alone, but you can give wisdom to others.
Yes. Yeah. The wisdom, there's this wisdom keeping nature sometimes of that moon.
You talk about, and you post about Moon Phases Family. This is not as talked about as other stuff. So if you can introduce us to the Lunar Family, what is that?
Yeah. So Dietrich Pessin is an astrologer who noted that there is this larger cycle at work. So like the lunation cycle is just like 29 and a bit days. Every month we have a new moon, But also there's this larger cycle where there'll be a new moon in a sign. So today we had the new moon at 23 degrees of Leo. And 9 months later, there'll be a first quarter moon where the moon will be in approximately the same place. So 9 months from now, there'll be a first quarter moon where the sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Leo. And then 9 months from then, there'll be a full moon when the sun is in Aquarius and the moon is in Leo at approximately this 23 degrees. Yeah, and the same for when the sun is in Taurus. And then 9 months after that, there'll be a last quarter moon where the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Leo at about 23 degrees. So she also called it the lunar gestational family because it takes 9 months to grow a baby. And when you start following these, when they activate your chart, they're either conjunct one of your planets or near your ascendant or something like that. You will have a larger story that goes over 27 months where there's a pivot. So something will be seeded at the new moon. Then 9 months later, there'll be some action taken. 9 months after that, there'll be some other thing where the story advances. 9 months after that, another thing. So when you start following them, it's really incredible.
Yeah, I always like to encourage also my clients and friends and, just go back and look at some stuff that happened before you reflect them to your past to see your future, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I post about them every week on Instagram. And so if you follow me in Astrology by Celeste, I post about these moon phase families, so you can see the dates and either know, like it's next May 15th, but you're starting something now. What do you want to be in next May with what you're doing? And that can also help you with larger projects. Like you set the intentions. And I have a guide that talks you through this as well. It's free. You can get it from the link in my bio. Like talks you through how you can, set your intentions and then have that date to like, okay, for my larger, bigger thing, where do I want to be in 9 months?
That's amazing. Thank you, Celeste. Amazing tools.
It's a hard working planet. It carries the energy. So, and you can notice as things go, you can notice conversations shift when the moon starts making aspects. People may be nicer to each other when the moon is conjunct Venus, but when she squares Mars, okay, we're having a little bit of tension here, or, whatever she's doing. And Uranus, a surprise comes.
It is interesting. Like we're going to have moon in Virgo coming. It's going to join Mercury and Mars. In Virgo, it's going to be very productive. And, it's going to be different than other, times moon in Virgo when there's no Mercury or Mars, right? So you have to always look at what is happening. Who are they talking to us? And Ortli says, what are planets talking to? They always talk to each other. I love that.
Yeah. And the moon, the sign the moon is in, the moon rules the people in mundane astrology. And if you start following the moon, you'll notice people acting differently as the moon is in different signs. And yeah, like I love Virgo moons to get stuff done.
Yeah.
It's more joyful in Leo, where people talk louder, smile more, like wear like more vibrant colors. You're wearing red. How perfect.
Yes. Okay, it's just, I know you're busy. I don't want to bother you a long time because there's a lot of information. Just maybe a few pointers between the differences in, when we have these new moons in fixed signs or in, in cardinal signs. What would you say?
When the moon is in the cardinal signs, or there's a new moon in cardinal signs, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, cardinal signs are initiating energy. So they're a great time. You will notice people like start doing more things. There's more energy to initiate things. Fixed signs hold the energy. So new moon in a fixed sign is a great time to have intentions for things that really need you to focus and
commit. Put your head to it and just.
So that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So we had a fixed new moon right now. And it's so funny with this new moon, like, because Venus is retrograde and Mercury's about to go retrograde. It's a great new moon to commit to, like finishing things you've already started rather than starting anything per se. Yeah. Or if you want to quit a habit, the new moon squared Uranus. This is a great day to say, I'm done with whatever it is, or start something.
Yeah, something that you never tried before, especially Leo. It's bold, courageous energy. Now is the time to do something you always wanted, but you never had the courage to do it. So
yes, yeah. And then the mutable signs are like the editors, the fixers, like the refiners. So that would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And those are times where like you can really like even go back to something you already started and make it better.
They're very good with doing the change between, like making like a flotation with, oh, hear you, I'm here, kind of a blending.
Yes, yeah, because the cardinal signs start the season, the fixed signs, like you're in the heat of the season. Cancer starts the summer, then Leo, you're like in summer. It's that fixed energy, the hottest time. And then in the mutable sign of Virgo, there's like this transition as we move, and the summer starts to wane, and then we move into the fall.
Astrology is amazing when you actually look outside in the nature and the effects of the moon and of the nature on us. I hope that with this change and Pluto and Aquarius and all this shift of consciousness that we're going to be more in tune with, especially with moon, because I think it's very important. It's our satellite. It really affects us. It affects tides in the sea. It affects us because we are made of water. Like we are 80% of water. People can't sleep during the full moon, so it does have some effects, right? Astrology is beautiful.
It really is. 12 signs, the plant. It's just really when you look through the lens of life with this amazing tool, which you can use or not use. but it could just really help you be like present with what is happening in your life.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love the most about astrology is, it's ground you into everyday life. Things aren't random.
No.
Things don't just come necessarily. Well, Uranian things, they come out of the blue. But then you look at your chart, you're like, oh, okay. I am being audited by my tax authority. Really? Went retrograde in my second house. Thankfully, because I used TurboTax, this company, they will handle it for me. But they're asking for some form that the system I used didn't tell me to fill out or whatever. So that's what I'm dealing with. And so today I finally dealt with it, even though I got the letter a few weeks ago.
It's interesting how it got.
Yeah.
Oh, that you mentioned that. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. Well, when Venus retrogrades, but you can also, I find that people get also money refunds and that with some money that they were waiting for as well. When just
bring things back to you, like with I do horary astrology, and like if you've lost an item and it shows up the significator is retrograde in the chart, it can symbolize, oh yeah, it's coming back to you. I know, Patty, astrology in action. Very fortunate, and it's so funny because Venus went retrograde in my second house at 28 degrees of Leo, squaring my Neptune. So they're missing Neptune a form. They're missing a form for the taxes, second house finances. I mean, life, it's so literal. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's why I love this. This is one of the best things ever. Thank you very much. I don't want to hold you up any more longer. You gave us so much to think about, so much information about moon and everything. And for more detail, as I said, please go follow Celeste and take her course if you want to go more into depth about the moon and how to work with cycles. I always encourage people who start learning about astrology, start with the moon, because you're going to feel the effects the soonest. Pluto, and if it's not touching you, you won't know it. But moon, you will feel. And when you start following your moon in your chart and what is happening, you will get quicker in tune with your chart. Moon is the key for me as well. So I think it's very important.
And I want to let people know I have the Celestial Insights podcast, where it's available wherever you listen, and it gives you weekly guidance. So if you like podcasts, you should be able to find it anywhere, or like you can go to the link in my bio.
I hope to see you in one of these conferences or something.
I should have been speaking at Norwalk next year.
I would like to go. I only went to Omega this year. I have a toddler, so it's a little bit tricky, but maybe next year I would like to go to one of the biggest ones. Congratulations as a speaker. That's a huge, very good. I know you do a lot of things for OPA as well, so amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such. I hope we can meet in person. Happy New Moon.
Happy New Moon, everybody. Bye.